Hello, my name is Mr. Curtis, and this is Abstract Bruce. As you can see, Abstract Bruce is just like the regular Bruce, only it's Bruce's color and shape that have been reduced to its most simple form. And that is one way of abstracting your art. No, there's regular Bruce. Hi, Bruce. I guess we're going to do the rest of the video with regular Bruce. So today we're talking about abstract art, and in particular abstract sculpture. Thank you, Bruce. Yes, so abstract. The best version that I've heard of a definition for abstract art is a departure from reality. So it's almost the exact opposite of what we were doing at the very beginning of this video lessons series, where we were talking about observational drawing. That's where we were looking at things in real life and trying to represent them as accurately as we could through drawing. Today, we're going to be taking a drawing or a piece of art that we make, and we're going to be abstracting it and making it look unreal. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get started, eh, Bruce? Okay, I'm going to let you down, and we'll check in with Bruce a little later and see how his abstract sculpture is coming along. All right, let's get started. Artists have been departing from or diverging from reality for years. Let's have a look at some examples. Pablo Picasso is the artist who often comes to mind when we think of abstract art. Here are some of his abstract sculptures. Here is a sculpture by French artist Louise Bourgeois. This amazing abstract spider is over 30 feet high. Artists who are Inuit diverge from reality often through their depictions of spirits, people, and animals. Here are the playful sculptures of Keith Harrington, featuring abstracted human shapes. Now that we've got some inspiration, let's go make something. Okay, here we have all of our supplies for making our abstract sculpture. As you can see, it looks like I've emptied out my recycling bin again, and I pretty much have done that. So I've got a lot of cardboard here left over. Cardboard is great. I think that is a good material to use for making sculpture. It's flat, it's sturdy, so we can start with that. It's a good starting base material. And then masking tape. Masking tape is really good, as you know, with making puppets. It's great for building areas out, so we can use masking tape for that. So that's going to be our main building materials, is our cardboard and our tape. And then you're also going to need some paper and pencil. I've got for making the sketch, which I've done here. I'll show you my sketches here in a minute. I've got my sketches here. So pencil and paper are great. Afterwards, we've also got some glue gun here for gluing things together. If you're using tape, you may not need to use the glue gun because the tape will stick things together just fine. So this is an optional item. Scissors, of course, for cutting your cardboard. That's a good idea. And later on, you're going to want to paint your sculpture, so some paint would be great, and a paintbrush, of course. So we're going to put those aside and use those a little bit later. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you the sketch that I made for making my sculpture that I want to make. Okay, so you might have characters, things that you like to draw already that you can use to draw inspiration from. I've been drawing these bird-headed people for a long time, so that's what I'm going with. And I draw these, sometimes I draw them a little more realistically. This time I'm trying to draw them a little more abstractly so that I can build my abstract sculpture from that. So I've got my character here that I've drawn, and I always get a little bit more natural shapes in the legs. The arms here I've simplified quite a bit so that there's no elbow. It's just more of a kind of a rubber band, kind of pool noodle sort of look there. And so then I tried to go even more abstract with the legs here and tried to really simplify them and not have really a defined knee at all. Just have a very, very just smooth shape. So instead of thinking about the body's proportions and trying to make them natural, I want to abstract them and think of just the shape that they make. And your character, you don't have to make a character. You can make yours more abstract than this. If you want to go more in the way of abstract Bruce, go for it. That's totally up to you. But this is what excites me. I like this character and I want to do something with this character and make an abstract sculpture using this character. So this is the way I'm going, and maybe what I'm doing here is going to inspire you to do something similar, or maybe it'll inspire you to take your own path. But doing something that is something that's not realistic can be very freeing, and it can be a lot of fun. So that's what we're doing here. So I did these two drawings. They're okay, but I wasn't 100% happy with those. I did a couple more, and I got this one here is kind of got its arms wrapped around himself here. But then I did this one, and I like this one the best. I think for me it has the best feeling to it, and I think I like sort of the way that the body moves. There's some movement to it. It just has a pleasing shape to me, and I think I did some nice abstracting of some of the features here, and I've just really simplified some of the arms here. And you know, things don't have to be in proportion. It doesn't have to look realistic. Well, I mean, we're dealing with a person shape with a bird head, so right away we're in the realms of the unreal. So we're doing good. So now what I'm going to do is I want to turn this drawing into a sculpture. So what I've started first, what we're going to do first is start with it flat, and then we're going to build it out. So whatever shape you decide to work on, we're going to make the basis with cardboard first, and then we're going to build it up. Sort of like how some of the Picasso sculptures I showed you look. So they are almost like drawings that have been stood up, made out of metal or cardboard sometimes, and stood up and then built upon to give it some depth and work with those 3 dimensions. So that's kind of what we're going to do. That's what we're going to use as inspiration for this project. And so what I've done here is I've done a little bit of a sketch. Right here there's a line, and there's a line here, because what I'm going to do is the whole thing is going to be cardboard, but then I'm going to build up this area, the head, and in the body here, and this leg. This is really important because I want it to stand up, so I'm going to make a stand here out of cardboard too that it's going to sit on, because it needs to stand up. So this is all going to be built up with tape. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it. That's why I just sketched this out here so that I know which parts I'm going to build out with tape. So I've got a little bit of that 3 dimensions, and I want to keep the beak flat, and I'm going to keep this area flat because I think that'll to me it just feels right. So sometimes I don't have any other explanation than that. It feels right. I think because if I build this area out, it'll be closer to me. I'm kind of exaggerating those dimensions of this character, that it, you know, how it might look if it was real. So okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. That's my plan. So I'm gonna put this over here, and I'm gonna put this over here, and I'm gonna get started. Here we go. This stuff here. This is a little more strong. I think maybe I'll go with this corrugated cardboard. If you've got a cardboard box around, this is better, I think, than the box board that I've got here. So I'm gonna just cut this down. It's a little bit harder to cut with scissors, but it can be done. We've got a nice solid piece here. I think I'm gonna draw my character on here and cut it out. So your sculpture doesn't have to be big. It can be a small sculpture too. So here I've drawn my character out here, and I was a little bit limited by the space here. I had to sort of squish it in, which actually I'm gonna just use. So the hand here got a little bit abstracted because I couldn't fit it the way that I've got it drawn here. I couldn't fit it all on my cardboard. So I'm just gonna go with that because the theme is abstraction, and just go with your limitations. So when you're limited by something like this, you can't quite make it fit. Go with it, see what you can do. I mean, this doesn't look anything like this hand anymore. Does it even look like a hand? It sort of implies a hand, but we're going with abstraction, so just kind of go with what feels right. So I think I've got enough here to start with. So now I'm going to start cutting it out, and I'm going to start building it up. Okay, now we need to make him stand up. That's the next step. And we've got some nice cardboard here that we can use to make a stand. Now this stuff, it's corrugated, so it's going to want to actually naturally want to bend at certain places. So let's glue two together, and then we're going to glue this guy on there. I think we can do that. Okay. Good enough. Looks like it could work. Okay, so I've got my pieces here. My glue gun is ready to go. Now you can just use tape for this as well. You could tape this whole thing up and then paint it afterwards, and that would be fine. I'm using glue gun. If you don't have one, like I said, you can use tape. Glue gun I'm using just because it's faster, and it'll get the job done better, and it's gonna hold everything down just fine. Okay, stick that together. Okay, now we can glue this guy onto here. Okay, it is standing up on its own, but it is pretty wobbly. So I'm going to start building this up now with my tape. And because this is a sculpture, it's a two-dimensional sculpture, just like the Keith Harrington sculptures that I was showing you, and some of the Picasso ones as well, where it's basically a drawing that's been lifted off the page, and now it's three-dimensional. So that in itself is a valid sculpture. But I want you to think about the 3 dimensions too. Think about all 3 dimensions and what it looks like from all sides. So if you want it to just be flat, then that's a decision that you make, and that's fine. I want to build mine up, so I'm going to have at least just on one side built up, and the other side, I'm not going to spend as much time on the other side, but I might still paint it just for time constraints. I might build up the other side too. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to start building it up now. I'm using my tape. I don't have a lot of tape left here, so we'll see if I have enough to finish this project. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just like with the puppets, I'm going to give myself a big long piece and crunch it up, and I'm just going to start sticking it on, and then I'm going to start finessing it and attaching it with more layers of tape. Okay, so now I have finished the taping, and you can see the raised area here that I built up with a bunch of tape. You can see on the other side I decided to raise up kind of the opposite part that I raised up on this side, just to make it a little more interesting. So that's what I did, and now I'm going to paint it. Alright, so here's the finished piece. It's been all painted. Both sides have been painted, and the eyes have been attached. I just used another piece of cardboard and painted it. And then after this base color was dry, then I glued on the eye. And I decided on the other side to make it slightly different, so that whatever side you're looking at, this sculpture has a slightly different expression. You know, how you do yours is going to be totally up to you. I mean, I could have built up the whole thing so that there was no flatness to it at all, but I like there to be a little bit of difference between flat and round areas, and just to play around with that. So the main thing is to have fun. And when it comes to colors, what you decide to do is up to you. I just decided to go with the very basics. So I chose primary colors. So I've got blue, red, and yellow. And in between there's a little bit of mixing going on. We got a bit of turquoise and green going on here, which was a bit of an accident because I was adding the blue while the yellow was still wet, so they mixed together. But I liked how that turned out. So it's up to you, you know, how you want to approach that. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I actually thought about the elements of composition when I was building this at different times. For example, how I mentioned the way that I wanted the beak here and this hand to be the same color, because I thought it would be pleasing to the eye to see some symmetry, some balance between these two parts that are sticking out. And I think that holds true. I like how this has turned out, how we have a blue hand here and the blue beak, and how they balance each other out, and there's a little bit of harmony going on there. And then the eye, because it's you know, such a singular point, having it a different color makes it stand out a lot more and adds more interest to the piece as well, I think. And also I painted the base black, and that's a good idea because it just helps to draw more attention to the sculpture itself, and not draw a lot of attention to the base here. It just looks a little more classy. Anyway, so there we have it. Abstract sculpture. There we go. We've done it. We've successfully diverged from reality. That was our definition of abstract. Remember, a diversion from reality. So we're driving down the road that everybody takes, Reality Road, that drives right through Realityville. And we've found there was a little off-ramp right over here, a little dirt road. And we took that little dirt road. Where did the dirt road go? It's going to a magical place. A place that has things nobody's seen before. It's the realms of unreality. We've taken some things from there, we brought them back, and now we can show everybody what we've found. That thing that that nobody's seen before, right? This thing. It's your piece of art. You are a magician. Did you know that? You're magical. Let's see how our fellow magician, Mr. Bruce, has done with his abstract sculpture. Let's have a look. Hey Bruce, how's your sculpture coming along? Oh wow, look at this. This is, wow, okay. Remember how I made that abstract portrait of Bruce? Well, Bruce has made an abstract portrait of me in sculpture. Look at this. It's just a big giant nose. Is that pretty accurate? Yeah? A nose with an apron. Nicely done, Bruce. I'm really pleased with this. Good job. There we go. Pretty creative. So until next time, keep thinking creatively and be kind to yourself.